Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. I'm 56 and my son is 28. I raised him largely on my own. His father and I divorced when Evan was little. His father never truly showed up. He made promises, drifted, sent the occasional gift card when a girlfriend reminded him, and then disappeared again. That absence left a mark on my son that I have seen in every stage of his life. He is kind and smart, but he avoids conflict, leans hard on whoever is closest, and looks for strong people to tell him he is doing fine. I did my best to give him structure and love, but I could never be a father and a mother at the same time. And the empty space where his father should have been taught him to cling to approval. Through college and after, Evan dated a few women who enjoyed being in charge of every detail. I tried to be supportive and stay in my lane. I never wanted to be the mother who hovers and nitpicks. I offered help when asked, and backed off when told to. Most of the issues were small and manageable. Then he met Lena. From the first time I met her, she was pleasant and polite. She is very good at saying the right phrases about boundaries and mental health and positive energy. She also enjoys controlling the room so smoothly you almost miss it. She will smile and make a suggestion that is actually an instruction. If you don't follow it, she will later describe you as difficult or negative. The disrespect started as little things. The first dinner at my house, she brought a bottle of sugar-free salad dressing, put it on the table, and told me to use it on everyone's plates, as sugar is extremely unhealthy. She told me she would teach me how to modernize my recipes. I said I was fine with my recipes, and she looked injured, and told Evan I had been hostile to change. For Evan's birthday, I set the table with place cards. She picked them up and moved me to a seat by the kitchen door, because I would be popping in and out anyway. I said I was a guest, not staff. She made a face that said I was overreacting. At gatherings, she would correct me in front of others about trivial things like cheese names or flower types. If I pushed back, I was labeled dramatic. If I stayed quiet, the behavior got worse. Last Christmas showed me how far she was willing to go. I was supposed to go to their holiday dinner. That morning, I woke up feverish and dizzy. I took a test, which came back positive, so I decided not to risk anyone else, and texted Evan that I was sorry and would make it up to them. He said he understood. That evening, a friend sent me a screenshot from Lena's close friend's Instagram story. It was a photo of her tablescape with the caption, "Finally a day without drama." I was at home under a blanket sipping broth and she was happy I was sick and didn't attend their Christmas. I took a screenshot and told no one but Evan later. He said he was sorry she posted it and that he would talk to her. Nothing changed. I kept trying to take the high road. I showed up for the big moments, kept my comments to myself, and focused on my relationship with my son. I am not perfect, but I do not enjoy fighting. I held my boundaries, and I stopped volunteering for things because every offer was twisted into a complaint later. My goal was simple: be respectful, be present, and refuse to be treated like a doormat. In the spring, I met my friend Marina for coffee. We have known each other since our boys were in kindergarten. She was excited because her son, Leo, had finally met someone he really liked. She said he was happy in a way she hadn't seen in years. She told me the woman's name was Lena. I froze, but I let her keep talking because, well, it clearly could be different Lena. According to Marina, this Lena said she had left a difficult relationship, that labels made her anxious, that she wanted to take it slow, and that she wasn't seeing anyone else. She also told Leo that she had family drama because an older woman in her life was controlling and negative and tried to insert herself. Marina showed me photos and messages. It was my son's fiancée in those pictures with Leo. There was no mistaking it. I decided to talk to my son privately. I texted him and asked him to come by alone. I told him it was serious and that I loved him. He canceled twice because Lena had something on the schedule and he needed to help her. On the third attempt, he said he would come after an errand and then texted that he was exhausted and could we reschedule. I said it was important and time-sensitive. He responded that everything with me is urgent and that I needed to stop creating drama. There was that word again, drama. The label Lena liked to use whenever I said no to something unreasonable. I considered sending him an email with pictures of Lena and Leo. I considered printing everything and putting it in an envelope. I held off because I thought this kind of conversation should be face-to-face. I asked Marina if Leo would be willing to speak to Evan if Evan agreed. She said Leo would do it, but only if Evan wanted to listen. Leo didn't want to fight. He wanted to be honest and be done. 2 weeks before the wedding, I made a choice I knew would upset people. I used the +1 they had offered me months earlier and wrote Leo's name. The plan was to show up quietly, ask for 5 or 10 minutes with Evan in private before the ceremony, let Leo speak for himself, and leave if asked. I didn't plan to make a scene during vows or grab a microphone. I knew the optics were terrible. I also knew I had tried to do it privately and had been blocked at every turn. The wedding was at one of those pretty outdoor venues with string lights and reclaimed wood signs. I wore navy because I had been instructed to wear beige, and I am not a prop. Leo wore a simple suit. He looked tired and braced, like someone walking into a hard conversation. We stood to the side and didn't bother anyone. I spotted Evan. He looked so handsome. Lena arrived. She looked perfect, of course. She saw us and her expression went from smile to a horror. She touched Evan's arm and whispered to him. He looked over at us and walked straight in our direction. He didn't ask what was going on. He said I needed to leave. I asked him to give me 5 minutes in private. I introduced Leo and said he had something important to tell him. Evan said he knew exactly who Leo was and that he and Lena had already dealt with this months ago. He said I was trying to embarrass him on his wedding day. He said I had always needed to be the center of attention and that he wouldn't let me do it today. I told him I had tried to talk privately and he had declined to meet. I told she was cheating on him for a while. Leo stayed calm and said he hadn't known she was engaged. He said he could show messages if Evan wanted to see them. Evan said he had already seen the old messages, that he and Lena had worked through it, and that I was dredging it up to ruin their wedding. I pointed out the Christmas detail because it had stuck in my throat since December. I said that on the day she posted finally a day without drama, while I was home sick, she was texting Leo and making plans with him. Evan's face tightened. He said they were moving forward, and that if I loved him, I would support him. I said if he loved himself, he would expect better treatment than this. He turned to the venue staff and asked them to escort us out. Security came over. People started watching. Before we left, Evan told me I was trying to ruin his life because he was marrying the love of his life. I said he was embarrassing himself. Then I walked out with Leo. We sat in my car with my hands shaking. Leo asked if we had done the right thing. I told him I honestly didn't know, but I knew I had tried to handle it privately and had been blocked. I said I wanted Evan to hear the truth before he made vows he couldn't take back. Leo nodded. That night, Evan sent me a message telling me I was on a timeout and that he would rethink having a relationship with me when I learned what boundaries are. He told me that Lena was hurt but generous and had offered to work on our relationship after the honeymoon if I apologized to her. I couldn't believe my eyes. Lena's social media is full of perfect pictures and captions about forever and home and peace. 2 weeks later, they have come back from their honeymoon. I haven't heard anything, so I guess they are waiting for me to apologize. Apologize that she was cheating, and I wanted to let my son know. This is what I know about myself. I am not jealous of Lena. I don't want to ruin my son's life. I want him to be happy and respected, and I want to be treated like a person with basic respect, and I want my son to be in a relationship built on honesty. I am not perfect. I can be blunt. I defend myself. That comes off as harsh to people who prefer I smile and swallow things. I won't be anyone's prop. I won't wear a color and stand in a corner because a photographer wants a neutral background. I won't pretend I didn't see what I saw, so everyone can keep their pretty pictures. If I am the asshole because of timing, I can accept that. I know weddings are emotional, and people want a smooth day. I tried to avoid the nuclear option, and the door kept getting closed in my face. I knew showing up with Leo would look bad, and I did it anyway. I did it because I thought the truth mattered more, and my son has the right to know before swearing to love that woman for the rest of his life. So that's it. Am I the a-hole for bringing the affair partner as my +1 to my son's wedding? Not the a-hole. OP tried every route: private talk, respectful boundaries, giving them space. Lena weaponized boundaries while steamrolling OP. OP didn't crash the wedding for attention. She brought the truth to someone being manipulated and gaslit. And Lena spinning this into OP being the problem just proves her point. If Evan's okay marrying someone who cheated and manipulated both him and another man, that's on him. But OP should not apologize for trying to protect her son, even if he won't see it yet. And now let's hear community's opinion. Sorry, but I'm floored. She posted finally a day without drama while you were sick and then spent that same day texting another man? And your son is calling you dramatic. This is textbook emotional manipulation. And the fact he said Lena's generous for offering to reconcile after you apologized to her, no. Just no. Not the a-hole. Not even close. Not the a-hole, but Evan isn't ready to hear the truth. That timeout text proves he's completely under her spell. Lena didn't just isolate him from you. She created a version of events where you're the problem, so she never has to be accountable. The fact that Leo didn't even know she was engaged and came with receipts says everything. You didn't ruin the wedding. You gave him a last-minute chance to escape before the cement dried. Whether he takes it or not is on him now. Hot take. You might be the a-hole for the timing, but you're also the hero of the story. You didn't show up with a megaphone. You showed up with proof. Yes, it was bold. Yes, it caused a stir. But some truths won't wait. Especially when a woman who disrespects you for years is literally marrying your son under false pretenses. It's not drama when you're the only one refusing to play pretend. Not the a-hole. So, backstory. I, 42, married my husband when I was 25 and he was 28. He had a 4-year-old son, Saxton, and I had a 3-year-old daughter, Ellie. Ellie's father had never been in her life, and Saxton's mother had passed away 3 years before from cancer. 2 years into our marriage, my husband and I decided I should adopt Saxton, and he Ellie. As at this point, I was the only mother he knew, and my husband was the only father Ellie knew. The only issue was that husband's parents didn't like me and refused to address Ellie as a grandkid. His parents came from family money, would always buy Saxton extravagant, expensive gifts. My husband told them multiple times to stop, unless they plan on buying for Ellie as well, but they refused to listen. They also created a rather huge trust fund for Saxton, which he has access to in a few months. Now, my husband was a very simple guy, and never wanted anything to do with his family money, even more so after how they treated me and Ellie. So we lived a very average life. My husband got very sick and passed 5 years ago, and I've been on my own with Saxton and Ellie for that time. My husband's treatment before his passing has made it impossible to pay for my daughter's tuition to college next year. She doesn't qualify for student loans and has no scholarships. Saxton's now 20 and will be 21 and will have access to his trust fund in a few months. I mentioned to him that I feel that his sister should be given half of the trust fund, as she was also my husband's daughter. My husband always saw Ellie as his daughter and hated his parents for the way they treated Ellie like anything else. Saxton got offended and said that the trust fund was just enough to pay for the college he wants and the expense of going there. Edited. The college he's going to is in the US, so he would have to move there. There's a lot of cost in this. The thing is, he chose one of the most expensive colleges of the ones he was accepted to. He is a very smart guy. The career he is interested in is marine biology, which altogether will take him 10 to 14 years of school, as he wants to get his PhD in said career. He said this school could make it easy as they learn more in a semester than most schools do, so he will be able to get through school faster. But I feel he is being a little selfish with this, and that he should also at least think about his sister in this case. He can easily go to a cheaper school and still get his degree. It will just take him longer. Am I the a-hole for thinking my son should split his inheritance with his sister? No a-holes, aside from the grandparents, but borderline you are, like a little bit. He has a dream and a plan, and he means to execute them. I don't blame him for wanting to use the money that is rightfully his to do so. If he got into a really good school, that means he worked hard for that, and he deserves it. But I get that there were issues. I get it's extremely unfair to your daughter, especially since it's been this way growing up with the involvement of your husband's family. And obviously, you just want to make sure your daughter has the same chances as your son. But here's why you're borderline possibly the a-hole. If you guys had raised your son to tell him that you were going to split it between the two of them because of the things going on, that would be one thing. He would have grown up expecting that to be the outcome, and it wouldn't be out of the blue. But you didn't. You brought it up essentially last minute. You brought it up right as it was convenient for you and your daughter. At this point, he made plans. He figured out what he wanted to do. And it's not like he's doing anything ridiculous with it either, though would be within his rights. He's using it for his education, which is admirable. If you never wanted anything to do with your husband's parents or their money, why do you feel entitled to tell your son what to do with their money now? It sucks, and sure, it would be nice, but you're the a-hole for insisting. I find it hard to believe that your daughter couldn't get a student loan. You're the a-hole. It was not money left by your husband. It was money left to his son by his parents. So it's nothing to do with your daughter. And he's planning his life. And you expect him to give his sister part of the money he got by rights, to see him into his chosen career by his paternal grandparents. Wow. Stop making him feel guilty. You're wrong. I, female 30, was raised by my stepfather, Dad, from 9 months until 14. My parents split, and although my stepfather was not my biological father, he included me in his custody agreement with my younger sibling. We spent every other holiday and most of the summers with him, barring deployment. He met my now stepmother. She was a single mom in the same career field as him. Our relationship was always rocky. I felt she made digs at my mother for having a lower economic and educational level than her at the time. My dad deployed often, but he did not want to amend or lose any time with us. So we kept the custody schedule, but just went with her. The major incidents I can remember. 1. She did not want me in their wedding, and my paternal grandmother had to threaten to have none of the family show up if she didn't put me in the wedding. 2. During Christmas, it became apparent I was given much less than everyone else. The other children were given scooters as the big gift of the year. My dad was embarrassed since up to that point, Mom always had us for Christmas. Stepmom made a big stink about how that wasn't fair, and then pulled this crap. 3. My grandmother passed, and at the repast, my stepmother introduced me as blank's stepdaughter. While my percentage was not a secret, most of the family just knew me as his child. My G-Paw could not bear to enter the house, or to even sleep in their room. He was so upset about her death. Mom decided that she would watch TV in their bedroom while laying on their bed. I physically threatened her mother and barricaded myself in the room while sobbing hysterically. I told my mom I wanted to find my real dad. It hurt his feelings, and he wrote me a long email basically saying that I needed to learn to get along with his wife for the sake of the family. I told my dad that if he was accepting of how she treated me, then I no longer wanted to be a part of his family. I did not speak to or see my dad again until I was 19. I wasn't ready. Fast forward to age 25, and he reached out again, and I was still not ready. He was, according to my sister, going to therapy. He started reaching out to me more insistently recently, and after going to therapy myself, I felt ready to at least have a conversation. I told him that I'm open to rebuilding my relationship with him. He gave me his viewpoint on the situation at the time. He always assumed that I would eventually come around. He asked, "Are you open to apologize to your stepmom? She feels she deserves an apology since the situation between my dad and I has caused continuous strain on their marriage, and although not the only factor, it's a big factor in them being in therapy as a couple apparently. He feels I should be fine apologizing so we can fully reconcile as a family. But I don't view her as a parental figure, and I've no interest in being a family." Not the a-hole. Has your dad apologized to you? Your grandmother shouldn't have had to intervene in their wedding planning to make sure you were included, because your dad should have taken that stand first. There should have been no reason for him to be embarrassed about the disparity in Christmas gifts, because he should have known what they were giving the kids and made sure it was equitable. It sounds like this current request for an apology is just your dad once again disregarding you in favor of his wife, without taking any accountability for his own role in the matter. Your father needs to understand that the reason he and his wife are in couples counseling is because of how his wife treated you. Asking you to apologize is once again allowing her to pretend you are the problem, simply for existing and being loved by your dad. What does he want you to say to her? I'm sorry you never wanted me? I'm sorry that you resented me? I'm sorry that you were expected to treat me as having equal importance to my siblings. I'd point out to him that the problem has always been how she chose to treat you, and you stopped speaking to him because he allowed it. If he's looking to make you the problem, then maybe he isn't ready to be a part of your life yet. She's the one who created the rift in their marriage by treating you unkindly. Asking you to apologize for that only shows that she hasn't grown or changed at all. She still wants to blame you instead of accepting responsibility for her actions. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Unfortunately, this just proves nothing has changed. Your dad still isn't protecting you. He's still propping up your stepmother, and he's still willing to allow her to mistreat you. You don't have to subject yourself to that. I, 37 male, am getting married in 2 weeks to Kate, 41 female. This is her second marriage and my first. Because of that, she isn't particularly interested in a whole traditional wedding, and frankly, neither am I. But my parents want the whole wedding crap, and Kate and I are humoring them by agreeing to have a small outdoor ceremony in their backyard. However, I have a lot of regrets agreeing to it, and last night I told my mom it's off and Kate and I will elope. First, Kate told my mom she would take care of all the decorations. She told my mom her plans for flower arrangements, and my mom immediately went to a florist and ordered all the flowers herself. And she went against everything Kate said, and ordered different flowers and completely different colors than Kate said she wanted. My mom said, since it's at my place, I get the say. I called my mom and told her to cancel the flowers. Then my mom called me from a restaurant the other day asking for my credit card number because she was ordering all the food. I assumed she was ordering everything we had previously discussed. But no, she was at a completely different restaurant. We had been planning on tacos, and my mom ordered Greek food. Last night was the final straw. Kate's 95-year-old grandparents decided they wanted to come. But with bad weather and their age, they want to move the ceremony from the yard to the deck. That way, her grandparents won't need to walk down any stairs. My mom had a cow and kept saying, "It's fine, they can go downstairs, it won't kill them, and we will turn on the fire pit." I told her the yard will be a muddy mess, and I don't want her grandpa to fall. He can barely walk as it is. She continued to push back and said again, "It's at my house, I get the final say." I blew up at her and said it's our marriage and we get the final say. I told her everything is canceled, including the shower she insisted on throwing for Kate. Kate didn't want it, and we will get married on our own terms. My mom called me a jerk and demanded an apology. I refused. A couple of my friends and my brother-in-law agree with my mom that it's her house and she should decide. So am I the a-hole for canceling everything? Kate doesn't give a duck, and this has all added more stress than she needs right now. Good Lord, not the a-hole. You didn't want the wedding crap in the first place. And now Mom is overruling your and Kate's wishes and even refusing to accommodate 95-year-old grandparents because it's her house? Then whatever ceremony you want will not be at her house. Take control back into your own hands and make the arrangements you want for your wedding. Not the a-hole. When you offer to pay for a wedding, you are giving a gift. Once you start trying to make decisions, besides how much you are willing to spend, you are no longer giving a gift, but instead trying to take over something that isn't yours. You wouldn't be the a-hole for declining the wedding regardless of circumstances. You certainly aren't the a-hole given your mother's behavior. Not the a-hole. It is her house, but it is your wedding, and it is very much not okay how your mother acted. Like trying to change everything, but you still have to pay. Like for the food. Tell her she has to apologize for taking everything over. When I, 29 female, was 22, I got into what I can only describe as a silly situation. I started dating a man who was 21 years older than me, and I ended up pregnant very early into our relationship. I will call this man Kevin, now 50 male. I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, Adam, 6 male, and Kevin and I split when I was 25 due to issues mainly caused by Kevin. It was clear we wanted different things in life, and he was constantly paranoid that I would get with someone closer to my own age, and thus became controlling. Despite all of this, we've managed to have a very good co-parenting relationship for our son. I don't regret our relationship because I got our beautiful little boy out of it, and I don't consider myself to have been taken advantage of. Kevin suffered a heart attack a few days ago and had a surgery to remove the clot. Kevin's older children, all daughters, all live out of state, far away, and my son and I are the only people he has close by. So I stayed with him in the hospital and called his daughters to fly in to visit. Now, Kevin's doctor recommended that he stays with a family member for the next month to be safe as he lives alone. Although I'm not technically family to him, I am his son's mother, so Kevin's daughters have expected me to let him live with me so they can return home to their families and jobs. I told them that I had stayed with him in the hospital day and night until they arrived, and they couldn't expect me to give up my time to care for him now, especially given how tumultuous my relationship with him was. They're insisting that now, since we get along better, I should do it for my son and take Kevin in because my son will feel horrible in the future knowing his mother refused to care for his father when he was ill. They called me the a-hole for refusing because now one of them will be forced to take time off work and come stay with him in my city, when I live only 20 minutes away from him and could easily look after him. I'm starting to feel like I am being the a-hole because this is clearly a difficult situation for everyone involved, and I'm refusing to help out just because I don't want to live in the same house as Kevin again. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He is not your responsibility, and they're trying to push you around and guilt you into this so they don't have to. He is their family, not yours. Your priority should be your son, not his father. They should be embarrassed that they can't be bothered to care for their own father. You are really evil not to do this when you are much closer physically than they are. Your neighbor also just broke a leg, and the lady across the street has pneumonia, so take care of them too, since you are close to them. My brother is going on vacation to the US next year. If he gets sick, I'm expecting OP to take him in since she is closer than me. In case someone didn't notice the amount of sarcasm running like a river in the above. Sarcasm. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Do not be guilt-tripped by his children. You are not his family and have nothing to do with him besides sharing a child. They just want to put the pressure on you since they can't be bothered to look after him. Little bit of background information. I live in a nice area for hiking and relaxing and have 2 spare rooms. That is why family often comes to visit. If friends or family come over, there's only one agreement I make with them, that I will not take care of them. Everyone is always welcome, but I'm working during the day and there are often other things in the evening. I always make sure to make time for family and friends to do something fun and eat together, so that we can spend some time together. Now, for the last few weeks, my aunt came over to visit, and she was supposed to stay for only 1 week, but enjoyed her time so much she wanted to stay longer, which was absolutely fine by me. Till last week, everything went well. But over the weekend, things started to change. All of a sudden, she started asking me tons of questions, like, what are you making for dinner? When are you going to clean my sheets? Why haven't you cleaned my bathroom yet? This really started to piss me off, and every time I told her that she would have to do that herself because she is not in a hotel. Last Sunday, I sent her home because she handed me the bill for her groceries. After I told her to get out of my house, she started screaming and crying, telling me this is not how I'm supposed to treat family and that I ruined her vacation. Later that night, I called my mom to check in with her. She told me to leave my aunt alone for now and that she will come around. So, what do you think? Am I the a-hole? She handed you the bill for her groceries? As a guest who wanted to extend her stay in your house. Yeah. After that, I would definitely leave your aunt alone, and she would not be extended further invitations to stay. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, especially since you were upfront about how visitors are treated. Personally, though, anything longer than a week or 2 for me is no longer a guest. You're a tenant. When my nephews, teenagers, come visit for the summer, they're expected to do chores like my kids. She's an adult, and you aren't her maid, chef, butler, etc. People that visit me know I'm not cleaning up after them because there's a sign, your mama doesn't live here, clean up after yourself. Plus, to me, a guest that doesn't clean up after themselves doesn't respect me or my house. My guests have a private room with a bathroom that I'm not cleaning up. It'll be clean before they arrive. There's cleaning products under the sink, and I'll clean it again once they're gone. Cleaning during their stay is on them. Also, when I visit, I clean up after myself. It's about mutual respect. I'll wash the dishes if they feed me. I'll vacuum your house when I track dirt in. I'll make my bed and wash the bedding as I'm leaving. I expect others to do the same. Not the a-hole. What do fish and visiting family have in common? Both need to be thrown out after 3 days. Your aunt knew the deal. Also, she was originally supposed to only be there for a week, and it was her who extended it at the last minute, not giving you any time to prepare. I think the grocery bill would have been the last straw for any reasonable person.